Yeah, don't come over here.
I did have some.
Good morning, everyone. Welcome to Sunrise Extra. Happy Thursday.
We're just checking our teeth.
You guys are checking your teeth?
Because we were just eating some great
Making
food.
sure it's all good.
Let me see.
I've never.
Camera Jay, are you in on this game or what? What? Oh, yeah, you're live. You're on.
Good morning.
Come on in here, Facebook. How are you?
I've never heard of chimichurri sauce before.
You've never heard of Drew, why are you
But
doing
now I have
segments?
chimichurri sauce in my teeth.
Yeah, it's
Just
delicious,
Just
right?
found out
Just
about
don't
it. Now I got it in
smile.
my teeth.
That's one of my favorite sauces. We're talking about that because we have some folks every Thursday in who make viewer recipes, the summer recipes that
So
Drew's
good.
been doing and asking
they are.
for. So we're going to talk to these guys in just a second from Wilsonville. They made a delicious steak with chimichurri and an orzo pasta salad. So we'll get you that recipe, I promise, in just a second. First, though, we have a big topic to talk about.
How big?
It's a national question, kind of. Now that marijuana is becoming recreational legal in many states across the country. So Nevada is now the first state to decide that if you're applying for a job, you now cannot be refused that job solely based on failing a pot test. So if you're a great candidate in Nevada, you check all the boxes, but you take that urine test and marijuana comes up, you cannot be refused the job just
As like
based
the main
on that.
reason. Okay.
Yes. So we are asking the question, you know, about that. What do you guys kind of think about that? In states where marijuana is legal, should it even, you know, be a question, I guess, if you fail a pot test? There are exceptions to this. Firefighters, EMTs, federal government employees. I don't know why police officers aren't specifically listed, I would imagine.
Oh, I'm sure they
Anyone
are
who
included.
drives for their job, so I guess that would be most police officers.
Yeah.
You could still not get a job if you fail a pot test, which is important. But yeah, it's getting a lot of comments on this. Do you guys have any thoughts on this? I mean, it's kind of like, you know, if you're
if it's
making
legal,
it
it's like,
statewide legal,
I don't understand, yeah.
it's just like alcohol, right? If you smoke when you get home.
I would think if it's legal in the state, I mean.
I feel like by default, by standing here, I should have an opinion. I really find myself without an opinion this morning,
Yeah,
but I
I
can
mean-
tell you this much. I can state fact. Right now, looking up at the big board, 69% of our viewers say yes to the question. Should you still get a job if you failed a marijuana test in a state where marijuana is legal? 69% of our audience so far saying yes, you should still get that job, which really tells me that you just shouldn't even have the test. I mean, if you should get the job anyway, whether you passed or
Right.
failed, they're saying why even bother having the test?
Right.
In a state where it's legal,
Yes.
yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, it's interesting. It's because it's obviously still federally illegal as a Schedule I drug, which, you know, who knows? Maybe
Gosh.
the next president will kind of tackle that. We
Lots
don't
of
know.
comments on this. Tracy says, treat it like alcohol. That's kind of been what a lot of people are saying. Jennifer says, beautiful either way. That must be for the teeth we're cleaning up. Hold on. I need to
Oh, you
filter.
guys look
I
amazing.
need to filter these comments better. Brenna says, treat it the same as alcohol. Kathy says, is it any different than an alcohol test? Tim says, free the plant. Tracy, missing out on a lot of good employees in the workplace. So Jennifer says, though, it's the company's decision. That's interesting. I mean, you know, I guess if if that's what the company chooses to do,
yeah, I
then
mean, alcohol-
They're
it
not
is their
testing for alcohol.
right.
No,
well,
you're right about that. But again, you can, if the company wants to do that, a company
Then I
could
guess
say
they
that.
could, yeah.
Hey, I'm
Yeah.
going to test to make sure you don't have alcohol on your breath for
Right.
the last 12
Yeah.
hours for this interview.
Right.
Who says that they can't do that?
Yeah. And New York City, so Nevada would be the first state. New York City, I guess, their city council just passed this same thing, where you can't be refused a job solely based on a positive pot test.
So we have a lot of people arguing like, you should get the job. Yeah, you shouldn't have to take the test. What's the other side of the argument? I haven't read enough on this. I mean,
I mean, if people think that, okay, well, you smoke pot or, you know, ingest it somehow, that, you know, they don't want to be. There was a guy that did comment to us who's an electrician, and he said, I don't want to be on a job with other people who are dope heads. Marijuana does stay in your system. It's traceable in a urine test for 30 days. Even if
Right.
you smoke it once, 22 days later, it's still going to be in your system. You're, of course, not going to be high,
Right.
even the next day,
Right.
at your work. So I think it's a lot of understanding, you know, like how it affects your body.
Like how long it stays
Yeah,
with you, how long you're high.
I mean, it's physically like in your bloodstream, even though you may have, done it once like a week ago.
Because, yeah, Brenna says just because someone uses marijuana, it does not mean they'll be under the influence at work. Same
Correct.
with alcohol. I mean, our director made a good point. Yes, it is federally illegal. So I would wonder, do these companies, I mean, maybe some of these companies are concerned that there will be repercussions on them, by the government. I don't know.
If it becomes a national issue of whether to legalize it nationally or not.
Ultimately, I feel like, obviously the states, they can do what they want to do. Make it legal, make it illegal. That's up to the states. And obviously here in Oregon, we've made it legal. But as far as the testing, I do feel like the state should not get involved in telling the employer whether they can or can't test. And that should be up to an employer. And you know what? I always think if you think it's wrong that an employer is still testing for marijuana, then don't work for that company.
Somewhere else.
And that's what
you have that right.
Said,
I'm not saying you're right or wrong, but that's how I feel about it. The company. If they want to, it's their company. Go ahead and keep testing. If you feel like that's important for you to know that sort of information about an employee or a prospective employee, you're within your rights. And you have the right to say, you know what, if that's part of your application process, I don't want to work here. That's fine too.
Man.
And Director Brian is telling us in our ear, I mean, obviously they're going to still test for
Other drugs.
harder drugs
Right.
than marijuana, which is, what they should do. Because, well, I mean, I guess now we just did the story about like those psilocybin mushrooms. Were you here that day?
Oh, yeah,
now
that they're
legal
not
in Oakland. Or no, it's not legal, but
Decriminalized,
yes,
right?
they're decriminalizing it. So if you're caught with magic mushrooms, you won't get the punishment that you once had. So police can work on bigger crimes. So you guys are really chiming in about this. Thank you for watching. We've got about 70 people watching live here on Facebook. Instagram, I haven't checked in with you guys. Hunt on Instagram, hi, good morning. No one should not be allowed to work based on marijuana. I saw another comment on here.
I got one from Beth, marijuana using Beth on Facebook. Beth says, the effects of marijuana wear off. It never affected my work, she says. And then she says, I was a very good legal secretary.
Yeah. Okay. Who else? Who did I see here? LJ Hardman. Hi on Instagram. Good morning. You should not go to an interview with drugs and alcohol. That's putting others at risk. Well, I don't think you mean like an actual interview, but if it's in your bloodstream, then yes, you're going to not pass that test. So let us know what you guys think. Let me show you. Can we pull up that Facebook page real quick, Producer Jess? Just to show people how many comments we've gotten on that. She's on it. Look at this. 69,000 people reacting to our post on Facebook, 220 comments. Let's look at a few of them. Shirley says, the employer should have the right to test people. Who wants a bunch of high people working for you? Look at Congress. We already have a mess. We don't need to add to it. Look at Congress. Is Congress high? That's kind of funny. Oh, we're happy to our comments. Oops. Oopsie. What is she doing?
Nina, I'm questioning whether you're on drugs right now. Only
I'm holding
because
What's
too
happening?
much technology.
Our
guys.
technology
That's what
is.
happens. And I wish I would have had this on the touch screen, but I didn't want to walk back.
What
and
other
forth
what else are people talking about today?
maybe are they talking about going and checking out the recipes, or we're not there yet?
Not yet.
Ah,
It's only 7:08, man.
need
Ron
food.
always has an opinion.
I'm
He's
sorry.
got his Pepsi
Well-
this morning. You a Diet Pepsi drinker.
Well, no,
caffeine is a drug.
we had steak, which we're going to get to, which was, I've never had steak better. It might, in fact, be the best steak I've ever had. So stick
right, we're
around for
gonna
that
talk
recipe.
about
It's amazing.
steak.
But after that, my stomach needed
What
a
a
little
tease.
fizz. I need a little carbonation to kind of
okay.
settle it. Does that make sense? I mean, it's legal now in a growing number of states. So quite frankly, to me, I think it's time to look at it like alcohol.
I mean, we kind of have to
Right?
look at it like that, you know?
Yes, I think that's going to become eventually through time. Maybe it's one of the first steps toward that, just not being tested for and being considered just kind of garden variety normal stuff.
It's like eating a whole bunch of chimichurri, you know?
Now, with that said, I once had what they called a joint in a treehouse when I was like 15.
What does that mean?
That's a
Ron?
different story. Continue.
Okay.
I think it means you smoked a joint in a treehouse.
I'm pretty sure that's exactly what
We
that
did a
means.
lot of crazy things in the treehouse back in my day.
I
Mr.
don't want to
Crowley.
know.
Go-
No
goes on a whole
more. Say
pack.
no more.
Wouldn't you like to watch
That
Rod Gusson
I
whole
would
Pepsi
want to
on
watch
TV
that.
and see what happens thereafter? Just go down the whole thing in one
All right.
shot.
What else?
There's another topic in the Portland City Council right now, and they were talking about it yesterday. It's not like a done deal. I think they're on the second or third reading, but it's on renter protections.
Oh, yeah.
And so if you're going to go rent an apartment or a house or whatever,
Yeah.
They want to kind of lower the barriers to that to get more low-income people into units.
Okay.
Because it is, obviously, we're in a housing crisis here in Portland. So they want to make it so right now, the rule is, for most landlords, I think, is you have to make 3 times the monthly rent in order to qualify for that place.
You have to put that down, or that you just have to
You just
prove
have to
you make that?
your pay
You
stub
make that.
shows that
Okay.
you make 3 times the monthly rent.
Well, that's a lot of money right
They
there.
want to drop it down to 2 times the monthly rent, and they say that's in the renter's best interest, because then you're, budgeting out like, okay, I have all these bills, I have food, I have my car, and I can still safely make rent on time. So they want to drop that down. That's number 1. Number 2 is they want to lower the threshold for like criminal histories and allow more people with
Criminal background.
criminal charges to be allowed.
Well,
to rent a place.
how's that written, Ian? Do you know, are they saying, is it almost, that was 5 years ago. After a certain period of time, we don't want you to consider that. Or is that not what that, do you know exactly how that's written? I'm curious.
Sorry to say that I
I
don't.
mean, if we don't, but we'll be looking into it more as a news, department.
Yes.
during the
So, and you can see in the headline behind you, Rod, City Council passes 9 of 10 amendments to renter protection policy. It now moves to a second meeting next Wednesday.
Bottom line is this:
So landlord's not happy.
Right. It's safe to say that this is a deal that would help people that otherwise would struggle to get a place to rent. It would allow them to get that place.
Yeah.
And like you said, landlords are not liking this because this takes away what they consider to be some of their protections. Obviously,
Yeah, are they going to get their money on time or ever?
Right.
Yeah.
Because of the eviction laws are already very strict.
Ooh,
I'm
that's
gonna-
a tough one.
I'm going to reserve judgment on the criminal pass. I'll reserve judgment on that. It'd be interesting to see exactly how that's written. But as far as, rent has become so expensive.
Yeah.
Isn't 2 months worth a pretty good salary at this point? I mean, at my point, I don't even know if I make enough to show that I make 3 times the rent, to be honest with you.
And that's a lot of people's argument is like,
Right?
that's-
So to me, that sounds reasonable there, just because of proportions of how much rent is nowadays.
On that note, Rick Mock says, I don't have to make 3 times the amount to buy a house. Why would it be 3 times the amount to rent? This is crazy. Brenna says, I'm sorry if I'm mispronouncing your name. She says, everybody has a right to acquire housing. Debbie says, what would help people if they limit the amount of profit a landlord could make on a property?
No, that makes sense. Yeah, what would help is if people, what would help people is if they would limit the amount of profit a landlord can make on a property. That would be interesting to say, hey, you can't charge this much, more than making 15% or whatever it is.
And then you get into that whole argument, which I think is a good one, of capitalism with no morality.
So, Rod, here's a question.
Really, you know what I'm saying? Yeah.
You have an interesting situation where your in-laws live with you in the
Yeah,
lower
we
level
have
of your
the
home.
walkout, what they used to call walkout basements. Now they call it a daylight ranch, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's our house.
And so they have their own, kitchen and living room and all that
their
stuff,
own
but
entrance
you guys
downstairs.
can, all hang out as a family, which is cool.
Yeah.
If they didn't live there and you somehow wanted to close that off and make it an ADU or a rentable space, what is the threshold for you, criminal-wise, to be a landlord to rent to somebody?
See,
I mean, obviously, like...
I'm not trying to say I'm a good person
felony
because you guys know me.
is
I'm not.
different.
But
Clearly.
but mine,
not good.
I would not be really great in business because my mind has never thought along the lines of how much can I get. My mind has always thought more along the lines about what is fair. How much do I truly need as the person charging this? So I'm kind of the oddball because I'm going to be charging far less rent than probably what a lot of people
But I'm saying,
do.
would you be comfortable renting to someone who had been in jail? I guess we have to qualify.
It depends on what it was for.
Right,
though.
there's such
so
a
that's why I'd be curious to
Petty
see
theft.
how that is written.
Yeah.
Yes, because the range of what you did, the circumstances, all that plays into your thinking. How long ago was it? So it's going to be interesting.
And that's
I would
why
like to see how
I
that's
think
written.
landlords, are pretty concerned about this.
Yeah.
So it's a big
I
issue,
get
and
both
both sides, both landlords and tenants' rights groups say, this is not going to fix our housing crisis, but it just kind of helps a little bit. Okay, you guys ready to look at some food?
Ready
Is there
to
any
eat
food
some
left?
food.
About 10
There's not
minutes
much
ago.
left.
Come on over here. Come on over here.
That's the thing about this particular segment we've done this week. I knew that there was going to be little food left by the time we got to
we have one
extra show.
One show plate. It's a little dirty, but one showpiece here.
Beautiful. Okay,
know what?
tell
One
us what we got
showpiece
going
here.
on.
Yeah.
Okay, do you want, ladies? Well, maybe I should introduce who the heck we have here.
Yeah.
For starters, we have Kelsey, we have Karen. Karen gave birth to Kelsey.
Otherwise known as a mother-daughter. Okay.
The two of them gave birth to
Recently.
these delicious dishes. And I think this is only still here because Kelsey didn't cut this particular steak up. The ones that she cut up are basically gone.
I ate an entire steak already.
So it's a coffee-rubbed ribeye steak. Kelsey, I'll let you explain the rub part. I said coffee rub. I never heard of such a thing.
Yeah, no, it's a coffee rub. It's like 2 parts ground coffee and black pepper, and to 1 part kosher salt and brown sugar, and then just like a little bit of cumin.
Yes, this is the rub that's in my hand. Go ahead.
Yeah.
Ryan.
So you guys do a food blog of sorts, is that
Yeah.
right? So you're kind of experts on the subject. Tell me about kosher salt, because you hear fine chefs saying they just didn't use salt, they used kosher salt. So
Well, you know, I am the creative brains, but she is really on the blog. She's really the knowledgeable person.
what's the
She's
difference
person to
making there?
ask.
Kosher salt?
Well, it is not iodine.
Iodine, there's no
There's
iodine.
There's no iodine, okay.
But it's also a bigger grain.
Right, it's bigger.
Yeah.
I've seen that.
Yeah, and so it just
Has a much
kind
more
of
flavor.
holds together in a rub better than.
So it's a big deal
Yeah.
to do
Yeah.
something right.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, it has bigger surface area, and so the salt, it just kind of blends a little bit better into recipes.
It tastes better, Rod.
Thank
Yeah,
you.
it tastes better.
I like it better.
I really
better.
didn't
It doesn't
know,
have
but you do
iodine,
hear
yeah.
a lot of recipes say that. Kosher
Yeah.
So you think to yourself, like I do, like what's the difference? I'm just going to use any salt that's
It's like,
available.
I had the Morton's over for dinner last night. We used their salt.
I just had another bite to remind myself, is this the best piece of steak I've ever had? Honestly, I thought that when I had it the
It
first
might
time on
be.
the show. It is so good.
Yeah.
And you were worried because you're like, well, we're going to leave Wilsonville at like 5:50 in the morning. By the time we get it to you, by the time the segment airs, the steak will be off the grill for almost an hour. It's still awesome.
Oh, good. I'm so glad.
Very good.
Yeah.
That was only part of the segment this morning. It was, again, coffee rubbed steak with chimichurri sauce. The entire recipe can be found right now on my KGW TV Facebook page. Drew Carney, KGW TV.
There
we
it
go.
is.
There's a great
Yes.
picture right there.
Here we go.
So we spell out that whole recipe, but
Yeah.
then there's a second recipe. If you scroll
Yeah.
down, you'll see that there is an orzo pasta salad recipe. I don't know
Can
if
we scroll down?
Well, I don't know if we can scroll down here.
Can I do?
Oh,
Yeah,
we're
Oh, they're doing
scrolling.
it in the
Wow,
We
guys.
be
director's
scrolling.
note. All right.
We be scrolling.
There it is.
We're scrolling. Wow, we are top 25 television market, as they say. And we can scroll.
For the second recipe, I will let you, Karen, explain
Yeah.
this pasta salad, not just anyone.
Okay, this one has a lot of fresh vegetables in it. It's got cucumber, it's got tomato, it's got peppers. We also have olives and feta and roasted peppers. The pasta is orzo, which is a little bit lighter than maybe a rotini or a tortellini or something. And there's feta cheese and pine nuts.
I make a similar one to this with the Kalamata olives, with the feta, with red onion. My dressing has anchovy paste in it, which might sound scary.
Yeah, why?
Anchovy paste, garlic,
Why would she do that?
olive oil. You won't taste it, I promise.
doesn't taste
Gives
fishy.
like
It's a salty
we call
umami.
it umami.
Yeah.
Yes, thank you.
Umami. There you go.
See, we're kin here.
Yes.
So, yeah, and it's delicious. So tell me what's in your dressing. I heard lemon. It's kind of a lemon vinaigrette, right?
garlic, olive oil, and oregano, and basil.
Parsley, I see in there.
Parsley is in the salad. It's not in the dressing.
Okay.
And then salt and pepper.
Yes. Yeah.
Tell me about your guys' blog. What's it called?
It's called Northwest Nom Nom.
Okay.
We've been cooking together for a long time. It's important to us to do that. But about a year ago, we're both teachers, and it was summer break, and I was like, wow, what if we shared this food? What if we started a blog? And we're like, well, we don't know how to start a blog, so we'll start a blog, and then we'll figure out how to do it later.
Right,
So we've
yeah.
been doing it for a year, and yeah, we've been having a great
awesome.
time.
So you were a big cook when she was growing up, and so
Yeah.
that's kind of how you got started. Were you like annoyed when, like I was when I was a kid? My mom would have me peel freaking cloves of garlic forever for like pesto sauce, and I was just like, oh, I gotta like help cook. But now I love it.
Yeah.
Is that kind of your experience, or did you always like it?
I wasn't really interested in it until I was probably into college or
When
high
you
school.
have to cook on
yeah,
your
where
own.
you're like, wow, I really don't like to
hungry.
eat.
Yeah,
Yeah,
where's
I'm
Mom at?
hungry and I don't like to
Time,
eat
where'd
bad
she go?
food, so I want to learn how to do this well. So yeah, you have the internet and everything like that, but I was like, Mom, teach me to cook.
Sorry.
So
I want to say something about the pasta salad because Rod, I think, is probably similar to me in that if I was to show up at a barbecue, perhaps your barbecue, if you were to invite me, and you said, "Oh, I'm bringing a pasta salad," the thought that I wouldn't say this out loud, but the thought that would be in my head would be
Cheapskate.
No,
Boring.
I don't care. I'm not interested. I'm not going to
I
have
love
any. Like
pasta salad.
I'm just not really into pasta
That's
salad.
good, though.
Then I had your pasta salad.
Yeah, it's good.
Now, I'm not the expert because I don't eat it that much, but my goodness, I love what's in that bowl.
Great.
That
Yeah,
is
it's
a
very
great
good.
pasta
Nice
salad.
and light.
Yeah.
And I don't think I realized what orzo pasta was. I think I've seen it before. That looks familiar. It almost looks like rice, but I didn't know that was called orzo pasta.
Yeah.
Why do you use that kind?
It's good.
I just like it in the salad. I mean, we do all kinds of pasta salads.
Yeah.
But this one for summer, I don't know. It just really is the lighter take on it.
Yeah, and I mean,
Rotini, ever?
Yep.
You silly?
oh yeah, sure.
No.
I mean, almost any week, like summer or otherwise, if you open up our fridge, you'll see pasta salad for lunch or just for a quick bite and stuff like that. We always
It's
have
such
it
an easy
out.
thing. Like you make a big bowl and then you can put it, take it for work in a little
Exactly.
tub. You don't need a microwave. You can just pop it in the fridge.
And does most pasta salad have mayonnaise in it?
No,
Okay.
only mayonnaise-based.
Because this one
pasta salad.
doesn't. and
Like
I
a
love
mac
it.
salad
I love
does.
it.
Tons
Yeah.
of like cold,
good.
vinaigrette-based or citrus-based.
You might be
so
thinking
good.
of like macaroni.
Like mac salad. Like,
Very simple
That will have
or
mayonnaise.
potato salads.
You don't like mayo. Do you like mayo?
I do.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mayo's.
Come over here.
This is the mayo side of the room right here.
Absolutely right.
No, I'm asking, do you like mayo or not?
Yeah.
Then go
Yes.
stand
I
with
thought
that.
you did. Oh, you do like mayo.
That's the mayo side.
Brenda Braxton does
Brenda
all
said
that.
no.
Over here. Kelsey and I
Okay,
on
Drew,
this side.
give the
Come
pitch
on.
because we are trying to do this all summer. Let us know. Are you a good cook? Do you have some great recipes that you want to share with Drew?
We have a shortage of
Because he
recipes.
has
I'm
to
going to be honest.
come to your house.
We have a shortage of recipes.
Yeah.
And I think people either A, think we have a lot and we'll never get picked. Not true. Or B, they think, man, that seems so hard. We got to get up early in the morning. We have to make those crazy people food. How difficult was this experience? I'll ask you, mayo hater Kelsey.
It was way worth it. This was super fun.
Did you hear the woman?
Yeah.
Did you hear her? Super fun. Karen,
fun.
mayo lover, what did you think of the experience?
Absolutely great. I was really nervous, but it was really fun.
And you don't have to be this top notch when it comes to a recipe. Like if my mom was watching, she'd
it's
say,
very simple.
the heck with that. I'm not doing a coffee rub steak. I get it. Neither would I, Mom. But you can have something very simple, like Nina just mentioned. Maybe it's a simple salad. Maybe it's like a 4-step recipe. We'll take them all. We just ask that they be a little tasty.
You know what I want? A watermelon cooler.
What the heck is that?
You mean
Like when
somebody's
you
gonna come in
chill
and make
watermelon, cube it up, put it in the blender, maybe mix
Put
it with some
some-
mint, some lime juice, something.
vodka?
Throw that in there, tequila, whatever. I mean, we
Morning
may
show
not
gets
drink that
very
on the
fun.
morning show here, but like something on a hot, like yesterday, where you want like fresh kind of fruit juice.
Oh, I'm with you, girl. You go. Yeah, keep going.
Do you guys have a watermelon cooler? Send it in. That's what I'm craving. I
Maybe a
think
good
that'd be
Jello shot recipe too to go with it.
Yeah.
And if you can call them summer Jello shots, we'll accept it. That's an acceptable entry.
Margarita week here on Sunrise.
Yeah, let us know. Send your idea to Drew via email, drewcarney@kgw.com.
It's really D Carney. You know how it works,
D.
Nina. It's
Carney, my
initial,
bad,
then
my
last
bad.
name.
D.
Initial,
Carney at
last name.
KGW or on Facebook. So thank you guys for tuning in. Happy Thursday. We're almost to the weekend. It'll be a little cooler today. We'll see you tomorrow. Bye.
So who's the steak barbecuer? Because I want to get better.